Billionaire Mercedes owner recognizes a homeless man. Wait, you were my first love? Before the story begins, let's make this personal. What brought you here today? A recommendation? Curiosity? Or maybe just the universe guiding you? The morning mist clung to Seattle's streets like a secret waiting to be revealed. Emily Harrison's Mercedes-AMG GT purred to a stop outside her flagship dealership, the chrome letters spelling Harrison Luxury Motors, reflecting the early October sunlight. At 22, she was the youngest billionaire in Washington state, a self-made success story that Forbes couldn't stop writing about. But success, she'd learned, was the loneliest companion of all. She sat in her car for a moment, studying her reflection in the rearview mirror. The makeup was flawless, hiding the sleepless nights. The designer suit, a deep burgundy Armani that cost more than most people's monthly salary, fit her like armor. Everything about her screamed power, control, success. Everything except her eyes. Those green eyes that still searched for something she'd lost 8 years ago. Another day. Another million, she whispered to herself, a bitter smile touching her lips. It was her morning mantra, the thing that got her out of bed when the weight of her empire threatened to crush her. The homeless man sat against the brick wall of her dealership, just beyond the security camera's reach. She noticed him immediately. It was impossible not to. While other homeless individuals usually clustered near the shelter 3 blocks away, this one sat alone, a worn cardboard sign propped against his knees. Not asking for much, just enough for today. Emily's hand hesitated on the door handle. She'd seen hundreds of homeless people in Seattle, had even established a foundation to help them. But something about this one made her pulse quicken. Maybe it was the way he held himself, spine straight despite his circumstances. Or maybe it was the book beside him, a worn copy of The Great Gatsby that looked like it had been read 1,000 times. She grabbed her purse, checking for cash, $300, her emergency money. As she stepped out of the car, the October wind caught her hair, sending strands of blonde across her face. The man looked up at the sound of her heels on concrete, and time stopped. Those eyes, brown with flecks of gold, like autumn leaves caught in sunlight. She knew those eyes, had dreamed of them every night for 8 years. James. The word escaped her lips like a prayer, barely audible above the morning traffic. The man's face changed, disbelief warring with recognition. The beard couldn't hide the sharp jaw she'd once traced with teenage fingers. The weathered skin couldn't disguise the face she'd loved with every fiber of her 14-year-old heart. Emily? His voice was rougher now, carved by hardship, but underneath lay the same gentle tone that had once whispered promises in the dark. My God, Emily, is it really you? Her knees threatened to buckle. The purse slipped from her fingers, designer leather meeting dirty concrete. She didn't care. 8 years of careful control, of building walls around her heart, crumbled in an instant. How? She whispered, taking a step closer, then stopping. Where have you been? I looked for you. I searched everywhere. James struggled to his feet, his movements stiff. He was 26 now, she calculated quickly, but he moved like someone older, someone who'd carried too much weight for too long. His clothes were clean but worn, a faded Marine's jacket over jeans that had seen better days. You looked for me? He laughed, but there was no humor in it. Emily, you were 14. I was 18. Your father made it very clear what would happen if I ever came near you again. The memory hit her like a physical blow. That night, the sirens, her father's rage, the blood on James's face as the police dragged him away, the accusations that she'd tried to deny but no one would listen to. He lied, she said, her voice stronger now. Everything he said about you was a lie. You saved my life that night. I know, James said simply. But who was going to believe the kid from the wrong side of town over Robert Harrison? Robert Harrison, her father, the man who'd built his own empire on lies and manipulation, who'd controlled every aspect of her life until she'd finally broken free at 17, the man who'd been dead for 3 years but still haunted her dreams. He's dead, she said flatly. Heart attack 3 years ago, right at his desk, counting his money. Something shifted in James's expression. I heard. I'm sorry. Don't be. She took another step closer, close enough now to see the scar above his left eyebrow, the one he'd gotten defending her from Tommy Morrison in 9th grade. He destroyed everything good in my life, including you. Emily. He started to reach for her, then pulled back, looking down at his dirty hands. Look at you, and look at me. You're a billionaire. I'm sitting outside your building begging for change. This isn't a fairy tale. You think I care about that? The anger surprised her, hot and sudden. You think any of this means anything to me? This building, these cars, this stupid suit. You built all this yourself, he said, gesturing at the dealership. I've followed your story. Every article, every interview. You did this without your father's money, without anyone's help. You're remarkable, Emily. I'm empty, she admitted, the words escaping before she could stop them. I'm successful and powerful and completely empty. I haven't felt anything real since that night, he finished. The night everything changed. The night she'd stood on Deception Pass Bridge, ready to end the pain of her father's abuse, the bruises he was so careful to hide, the control that was suffocating her. The night James had found her, talked her down, held her while she sobbed out years of secrets. The night her father had found them together and accused James of things that made her sick to remember. Why didn't you ever try to contact me? She asked. After I turned 18, after I was free. James looked away, his jaw tightening. I did. Your father made sure I couldn't. Restraining order. Criminal record. He had connections everywhere. Every time I got close, something would happen. A job would disappear. An apartment would suddenly become unavailable. He made it clear that if I pursued you, he'd destroy you too. So you disappeared. I tried to build a life, he said. Joined the Marines. Did 2 tours in Afghanistan. Came back and tried to use the GI Bill for college. But PTSD is a hell of a thing, Emily. And your father's reach was longer than I thought. Even after his death, the damage was done. No one would hire someone with my record. The accusations stuck even though charges were dropped. Emily's hand clenched into a fist. Even from beyond the grave, her father was still controlling her life, still destroying anything good that tried to enter it. How long have you been on the streets? 6 months, he admitted. Lost my apartment when the VA benefits got tangled in red tape. Been trying to get back on my feet, but... He shrugged, a gesture of defeat that broke her heart. Come with me, she said suddenly. Right now. We're getting you off the streets. Emily, no. His voice was firm. I won't be your charity case. I won't be the homeless guy you saved. That's not who we were. Then who were we? She challenged, stepping so close she could smell him. Soap from the shelter, coffee from some kind soul, and underneath it all, something essentially James that made her heart race. We were everything, he said softly. You were the girl who read me poetry on the beach. I was the boy who taught you to see the stars even in the city. We were going to run away together, remember? Take my beat-up Honda and drive until we found somewhere your father couldn't reach. We were kids, she said, but her voice broke on the words. We were in love, he corrected. The kind of love adults say doesn't exist, doesn't matter. But it did. It was the only thing that ever mattered. A car honked behind them, breaking the spell. Emily suddenly became aware of their surroundings. Employees arriving for work, customers beginning to browse the lot, security guards watching with concern. James noticed too, beginning to gather his few possessions. Don't go, she pleaded. Please, just let me buy you breakfast. Not charity. Just, I need to know what happened to you, all of it. He hesitated, pride warring with something else in his eyes. Breakfast? But somewhere away from here. You have a reputation to maintain. I don't care about my reputation. You should, he said seriously. You've built something incredible here, Emily. Don't let my presence destroy it. She wanted to argue, but she saw the determination in his eyes. The same look he'd had when he'd insisted on facing her father 8 years ago, protecting her even though it cost him everything. There's a diner on Pine Street, she said. Mel's. No one from my world goes there. I know it, he said, and something in his tone made her look at him sharply. I've been watching you, Emily. Not stalking, he added quickly, seeing her expression. Just making sure you were okay, making sure you were safe. For how long? Since I got back to Seattle? 6 months. 6 months. He'd been this close for 6 months, living on the streets, watching over her like some guardian angel in torn jeans and worn boots. My God, James, she breathed. Why didn't you? What was I supposed to say? He interrupted. Hi, Emily, remember me? I'm the guy who ruined your life and now I'm homeless. Want to grab coffee? You didn't ruin my life, you saved it. Your father didn't see it that way, neither did the police or the courts or anyone else who mattered. Emily's phone buzzed. Marcus, her CFO, wondering where she was. The board meeting at 9, the Japanese investors at lunch, the charity gala tonight. Her life, calling her back. I have to go to a meeting, she said, hating herself for it. But meet me at Mel's at noon, please, James, promise me. He looked at her for a long moment, and she saw him weighing something, making a decision that seemed to cause him physical pain. There's something you need to know, he said finally. Something about that night. About why your father really wanted me gone. What do you mean? Noon, he said. I'll tell you everything at noon. But Emily, he paused, running a hand through his unkempt hair. You might not want to see me again after you know the truth. Before she could respond, he was walking away, his slight limp more pronounced with each step. She stood there, designer heels on dirty concrete, watching the only man she'd ever loved disappear into Seattle's morning crowds. Her phone rang. Marcus again. She ignored it, bending to pick up her purse. As she straightened, something caught her eye. James's book left behind on the cardboard he'd been sitting on. She picked it up, running her fingers over the worn cover. Inside the front cover, in handwriting she recognized despite the years, were words that made her gasp. For Emily, because green lights are worth waiting for, even if they never come. All my love, always. J. It was the inscription he'd written when he'd given her this same book for her 14th birthday. Her copy had been destroyed by her father in one of his rages, along with everything else James had given her. But James had kept his, carried it through war zones and homeless shelters, held onto it like a talisman. She clutched the book to her chest and walked back to her Mercedes, no longer caring who saw the tears streaming down her face. The board could wait. The investors could wait. Her entire carefully constructed life could wait. At noon, she would learn the truth. But she already knew one truth that mattered more than any secret. She had never stopped loving James Mitchell, and judging by that inscription, neither had he. The drive to her office was a blur. The underground parking garage of Harrison Tower felt like a tomb, all concrete and fluorescent lights. She sat in her car for 10 minutes trying to compose herself, trying to become the CEO everyone expected. But her hands wouldn't stop shaking. The elevator ride to the 40th floor was torture. Every floor that passed felt like another layer of the mask she had to put on. By the time the doors opened to the executive suite, she was Emily Harrison again. Cold, controlled, untouchable. Emily! Marcus rushed toward her, his usual composure cracking. Where were you? The Yamamoto delegation is here early, and the board is asking questions about the quarterly projections. Cancel everything until noon, she said, walking past him toward her office. What? Emily? We can't cancel the Japanese investors. This deal will still be there this afternoon. She turned to face him, and something in her expression made him step back. Cancel everything, Marcus, and I mean everything. Her office was a monument to her success. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Elliott Bay, a desk that cost more than most people's cars, awards, and accolades covering one wall. It all felt like a prison now. She sank into her chair, placing James's book carefully on her desk. Her computer pinged with emails. Urgent, important, critical. She ignored them all, spinning her chair to face the window. Somewhere out there, James was waiting until noon, carrying a secret that he thought would drive her away. But he didn't know her anymore, didn't know what she'd become. Her father had tried to break her after James was gone, had tried to mold her into his perfect heir. Instead, she'd used his cruelty as fuel, had built her empire on the ashes of his expectations. At 17, when she'd finally escaped his house, she'd had nothing but determination and a scholarship to UW. By 19, she'd turned a small investment, money she'd earned working 3 jobs, into her first dealership. By 21, she owned a chain. Now at 22, she was worth $3 billion. But she would trade it all for one more sunset on the beach with James, reading poetry and pretending the world beyond didn't exist. Her desk phone rang. She saw her assistant's extension and picked up before she could stop herself. Ms. Harrison, there's a Detective Morrison here to see you. He says it's urgent. Morrison. The name hit her like ice water. Tommy Morrison, the boy James had fought to protect her from in high school, now a detective with Seattle PD. Send him in, she said, her voice steady despite the alarm bells ringing in her head. Tommy Morrison had aged well. The bullying teenager transformed into a clean-cut cop, but the mean glint in his eyes remained. Emily, he said, not bothering with her title. Long time. Detective Morrison, she replied coolly. To what do I owe the pleasure? Got a report of you harassing a homeless man outside your building this morning. Harassing? She laughed, the sound sharp. I was talking to an old friend. James Mitchell isn't anyone's friend, Morrison said, settling into a chair uninvited. He's a convicted felon with a history of violence, and now he's hanging around your business. That's called stalking. The charges were dropped, Emily said. You know that. You were there. Dropped doesn't mean innocent, Morrison countered. Your daddy knew what that boy was. Shame you never listened. My father is dead, but his wisdom lives on, Morrison said with a smirk. Look, I'm trying to help you here. Mitchell is dangerous. PTSD, criminal record, history of violence. He's been watching you for months. How do you know that? Morrison's smirk widened. We keep tabs on certain individuals. For public safety. You mean you've been harassing him? I mean we've been protecting citizens like you from men like him. Morrison stood. Stay away from him, Emily. Your father isn't here to protect you anymore, but some of us remember our promises to him. Get out, Emily said quietly. Excuse me? Get out of my office before I call my lawyer and file a harassment complaint of my own. Morrison's face darkened. You always were too stubborn for your own good. Just remember, when this goes bad, and it will, that I tried to warn you. After he left, Emily sat in the silence, processing what she'd learned. They'd been watching James, following him, making sure he stayed down, stayed away. Her father's network, still operational 3 years after his death. She picked up her phone and called her head of security. Paul, I need you to do something for me. Quietly. Of course, Ms. Harrison. Find out everything you can about James Mitchell. Military service, medical records, criminal records, everything. And Paul, look into who's been investigating him recently. Check if there are any surveillance operations, anyone following him. Is there a threat, ma'am? No, Emily said. Someone's threatening a friend of mine. I want to know who and why. I'll get right on it. She hung up and checked the time. 3 hours until noon. 3 hours until the truth. Her computer pinged again. This time she looked. An email from an unknown address. No subject line. She almost deleted it, then noticed the attachment. A photograph. She clicked it open and her blood ran cold. It was a picture of her and James from this morning, taken from across the street. But it wasn't the invasion of privacy that made her hands shake. It was the message written across the bottom in red digital ink. Some secrets should stay buried. He knows what happens if he tells you. A friend of your father's. Emily stared at the photo, her mind racing. Someone was threatening James. Someone who knew about that night 8 years ago. Who knew there was more to the story than what she'd been told. She grabbed her phone and called the one person she trusted absolutely. Sarah Chen, her lawyer, and the closest thing she had to a friend. Sarah, I need you to clear your schedule. Emily, what's wrong? Everything, Emily admitted. Everything I thought I knew about my past is a lie, and someone's trying very hard to keep it that way. Where are you? My office, but I'm leaving soon. Meeting someone at noon. Emily, if you're in danger, I'm not the one in danger, Emily said, looking at the photograph again. But someone I care about is. Sarah, I need you to pull all the records from 8 years ago. October 15th, the arrest report for James Mitchell. The hospital records from that night, everything. That's going to take some digging. Those records might be sealed. Then unseal them. Use whatever connections you have, whatever it costs. Emily, what's this about? Emily was quiet for a moment, staring out at the city below. It's about learning the truth, finally. After she hung up, she opened her desk drawer and pulled out the one thing she'd kept from her old life, a small silver locket. Inside was a picture of her and James at the beach, both of them laughing at something off camera. She'd been 14, he'd been 18, and they'd been happy in the way only people who don't know what's coming can be. She closed the locket and made a decision. Whatever the truth was, whatever secret James was carrying, she would face it. She'd built her empire on courage and determination. She wouldn't let fear control her now. The clock on her wall ticked toward noon, each second both too fast and too slow. Somewhere in the city, James was waiting, carrying a truth that could destroy everything or finally set them both free. Her phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. He's not at the diner. They took him. Pier 47, Warehouse 3. Come alone or they kill him. Emily's heart stopped, then raced into overdrive. She grabbed her purse, checked the pistol she'd carried since her father's death. Another secret the world didn't know about Emily Harrison. She'd learned to shoot at 18, the day after she'd left home, promising herself she'd never be helpless again. She ran for the elevator, her heels clicking urgently against marble. In the parking garage, she hesitated at her Mercedes, then walked past it to the storage area where she kept her father's old car, a black Lincoln Town car with tinted windows. Anonymous, forgettable, perfect. As she drove toward the pier, her mind cataloged everything that didn't make sense. Morrison showing up right after she'd seen James. The photograph, the threat. Someone had been watching, waiting for them to reconnect, which meant someone knew James would eventually approach her. Pier 47 was in the industrial district, abandoned warehouses stretching along the waterfront. She'd bought property here once, then sold it when she'd realized it was where her father used to conduct his other business, the dealings that had built his fortune before he'd gone legitimate. She parked 2 warehouses away and approached on foot, grateful she'd worn flats today instead of her usual heels. The pistol was a comfortable weight in her coat pocket. Warehouse 3 was dark, its windows broken, graffiti covering its walls. The door was ajar, swaying slightly in the wind off the bay. She could hear voices inside, muffled but urgent. She pulled out her phone and sent her location to Sarah with a simple message. "If I don't contact you in 30 minutes, call the police." Then she stepped inside. The warehouse was mostly empty, concrete floors stained with rust and oil. In the center, under a shaft of light from a broken skylight, James was tied to a chair. Blood ran from a cut above his eye and his shirt was torn. 3 men stood around him, none of them Morrison, but all of them familiar in that generic way of hired muscle. "Ms. Harrison," one of them said, not surprised by her appearance. "Right on time." "Let him go," she said, her voice carrying the authority that made grown executives cower. "Whatever this is about, it's between you and me." "Actually," a new voice said from the shadows, "it's about all of us." A man stepped into the light, and Emily's breath caught. Richard Blackwood, her father's former business partner, the man who'd helped build the Harrison empire before her father had forced him out in a hostile takeover. "Hello, Emily," Blackwood said, his smile cold. "You look just like your mother, especially around the eyes." "My mother died when I was 6, Emily said, her hand moving slowly toward her pocket. "No," Blackwood said. "She didn't." The world tilted. Emily grabbed the wall for support. "That's impossible." "Is it?" Blackwood moved closer to James, who was watching everything through swollen eyes. "Tell her, boy. Tell her what you discovered that night. Tell her why Robert Harrison really wanted you gone." James lifted his head, meeting Emily's gaze. "I'm sorry," he said, his voice hoarse. "I wanted to tell you, but he said he'd kill you if I did." "Tell me what?" Emily demanded. "Your mother is alive," James said. "I saw her that night. She was at your house arguing with your father. She wanted to see you. He was threatening her, saying he'd have her committed again if she tried. That's when I understood why you were on that bridge. It wasn't just the abuse. It was knowing he'd lied to you your whole life." Emily's legs gave out. She slid down the wall, sitting on the dirty floor in her $1,000 suit, trying to process the impossible. "Where is she?" she whispered. "Riverview Psychiatric Hospital," Blackwood said. "Has been for 16 years. Your father had her committed when she tried to leave him. Diagnosed with schizophrenia, heavily medicated, no visitors allowed. He told everyone she died, even held a funeral, but he kept her alive, locked away, because divorce would have meant giving up half his empire." "You're lying," Emily said, but even as she said it, pieces were falling into place. Her father's monthly trips to visit investors in Spokane, the mysterious medical bills she'd found after his death, the way he'd always changed the subject when she'd asked about her mother. "I have proof," Blackwood said, pulling out a folder. "Medical records, payment receipts, even photographs from last month. Your mother, Emily, alive, waiting." "Why?" Emily asked, looking at Blackwood. "Why tell me now?" "Because with your father dead and you in control of his empire, I finally have leverage," Blackwood said. "You're going to sign over half of Harrison Industries to me, the half that should have been mine before your father betrayed me. In exchange, I'll give you the location and means to free your mother. And if I refuse?" Blackwood nodded to one of his men, who pressed a knife against James's throat. "Then your boyfriend dies, and your mother stays locked in that hell until she actually does go insane." Emily stood slowly, her hand now firmly on the pistol in her pocket. "You're assuming I care more about them than my empire." "I know you do," Blackwood said. "You're not your father, Emily. You actually have a heart. It's your weakness." "My father thought that too," Emily said, pulling out the pistol in one smooth motion. He was wrong. The gunshot was deafening in the enclosed space. The man holding the knife to James's throat dropped, clutching his shoulder. The other 2 reached for their weapons, but Emily was already moving, her father's brutal training taking over. 2 more shots, both men down with wounded legs. Blackwood stood frozen, hands raised. "You won't shoot an unarmed man." "So try me," Emily said, her voice cold as winter. "You just told me my mother has been tortured for 16 years. You threatened the man I love. Give me one reason not to put a bullet in your head." Because I'm the only one who knows which doctor to bribe to get her released, Blackwood said quickly. Kill me and she stays there forever. Emily moved to James, keeping the gun trained on Blackwood as she cut the ropes with a knife from one of the downed men. James stood shakily, leaning on her. You okay? She asked. I've had worse in Afghanistan, he said, but his attempt at a smile turned into a wince. Here's what's going to happen, Emily said to Blackwood. You're going to give me everything. Every document, every contact, every piece of information about my mother. Then you're going to disappear. Leave Seattle, leave the state, leave the country if you're smart. If I ever see you again, if you ever come near anyone I care about, I'll destroy you. Not kill you, that would be too easy. I'll take apart your life piece by piece until you're begging to trade places with my mother in that hospital. You don't have that kind of power. Blackwood sneered. Emily smiled, and it was her father's smile, the one that had terrified boardrooms across the country. I'm Robert Harrison's daughter. I have his money, his connections, and his capacity for cruelty. But unlike him, I also have a reason to use them. So the question is, Mr. Blackwood, do you want to test me? Blackwood's face went pale. He pulled a phone from his pocket, sent a series of texts, then handed it to her. Everything's there. The doctor's name, the papers you'll need, account numbers for bribes, it's all there. Emily checked the phone, then pocketed it. Get out. You have 1 hour to leave Seattle. Blackwood ran, stumbling over his wounded men, who dragged themselves after him. Emily and James stood in the sudden silence, both breathing hard. You've changed, James said softly. I had to, Emily replied, the gun shaking in her hand now that the adrenaline was fading. After you were gone, after what my father did, I had to become someone who could never be hurt again. I'm sorry, he said. I should have fought harder, should have found a way to tell you. He would have killed you, Emily said. Or had you killed. I know that now. She looked at him, seeing past the dirt and blood to the boy she'd loved. How did you find out? About my mother? That night, after you called me from the bridge, I went to your house first, James explained. I wanted to confront your father, to tell him what he was doing to you. But when I got there, I heard the argument. A woman's voice I didn't recognize, pleading to see her daughter. Your father saying she was supposed to be sedated, that the doctors had been paid to keep her quiet. Then he saw me in the window, and he couldn't let you live knowing that secret. He gave me a choice, James said. Leave and never come back, or he'd have me arrested for assault and make sure your mother never saw daylight again. I was 18 and poor. He was Robert Harrison. Who would believe me? Emily's phone buzzed. Sarah, checking in. She replied that she was safe, then called Paul. I need a medical team at Pier 47, Warehouse 3. And Paul, prepare the jet. We're flying to Spokane today. Yes, ma'am. Anything else? Clear my schedule for the next week. Maybe longer. She hung up and looked at James. Come with me. Emily, no arguments. You're hurt. You need medical attention, and we have 16 years of lies to untangle. Besides, she added, her voice softening, I'm going to need you when I see her. I can't do this alone. You're never alone, James said. Even when I was gone, even when I was overseas, you were never alone. I carried you with me everywhere. The medical team arrived, efficient and discreet, asking no questions about the wounded men or the gunshots. Money bought many things, including silence. As they treated James's wounds in the back of a private ambulance, Emily sat beside him, holding his hand. The boy she'd loved was gone, replaced by a man scarred by war and hardship. But his eyes were the same, and the way his fingers intertwined with hers felt like coming home. What happens now? He asked. Now we get my mother, Emily said. Then we figure out the rest. The rest? Us, this, everything. She looked at him, really looked at him. I never stopped loving you. Not for a single day. Emily, I'm nobody. I have nothing. I'm a woman who's been empty for 8 years, she interrupted, who built an empire but lost her soul. You want to know what I am? I'm broken, James. Just like you. The only difference is my broken pieces are hidden behind designer suits and board meetings. You're not broken, he said. You're the strongest person I know. I shot 3 men today, she said, the reality of it hitting her. I didn't even hesitate. To save me, I would have killed them, she admitted. If they'd hurt you, I would have killed them all. James pulled her closer with his good arm. That's not broken, Emily. That's love. Fierce, protective love. The kind that saves people. The kind you showed me 8 years ago. We saved each other, he said. Maybe we still can. The ambulance pulled up to a private airfield, where Emily's Gulfstream waited. As they boarded, Emily felt the weight of the phone in her pocket, the information that would lead her to her mother. 16 years of imprisonment. 16 years of lies. She might not even know me, Emily said as the plane began to taxi. She might be too far gone. Or she might have been holding on, hoping, James said. The way we held on to each other. Emily looked out the window as Seattle fell away below them. In 2 hours, she would walk into Riverview Psychiatric Hospital. She would see the woman she'd mourned for 16 years. She would face the biggest lie of her life, but she wouldn't face it alone. James was beside her, their hands intertwined as the plane climbed toward clouds that looked like cotton against the October sky. "Tell me about Afghanistan," she said suddenly, needing to fill the silence with something other than her racing thoughts. James was quiet for a moment, his thumb tracing circles on her palm. It was hot, so hot you couldn't think straight sometimes, and loud. Not just the explosions, but the constant noise of generators, helicopters, radios. But sometimes at night when everything was quiet, I'd look at the stars. Same stars we used to watch on the beach. That's when I'd think of you. What did you think about? Everything. The way you laughed at my terrible jokes. How you'd bite your lip when you were concentrating on a poem. The way you looked at me like I was worth something, even when the rest of the world said I wasn't. You were worth everything, Emily said fiercely. You still are. Your father didn't think so. Neither did anyone else in your world. My father was wrong about everything that mattered, Emily said. He thought money was power. He thought fear was respect. He thought keeping someone prisoner was love. The captain announced their descent into Spokane. Emily's stomach churned with more than just turbulence. In her hand, the phone Blackwood had given her felt like it weighed 1,000 pounds. Dr. Martin Ames, Building C, Room 47. The details of her mother's imprisonment reduced to an address. What was she like? James asked. Your mother before? Emily closed her eyes, searching for memories that felt more like dreams. She smelled like vanilla, always vanilla. She used to sing while she cooked, old songs from the 70s. She taught me to play piano, but I was terrible at it. She laughed anyway, said the enthusiasm mattered more than the accuracy. You were 6 when he said she died? 6 years and 3 months. I remember because I'd just lost my first tooth. She was supposed to put it under my pillow for the tooth fairy. Instead, I woke up to my father telling me Mommy had gone to heaven. I'm sorry. I grieved her for 16 years, Emily said, anger rising like bile. I visited her grave every year on her supposed death date. I brought flowers, yellow roses, because he said they were her favorite. Was any of it true? Was there ever even a funeral? We'll find out, James promised. We'll find out everything. The plane touched down smoothly. A car was waiting, another anonymous black sedan. Emily had learned the value of invisibility in her father's world. The drive to Riverview took 40 minutes, each mile feeling like a year. The hospital looked like what it was, a prison disguised as medical facility. High walls, barred windows, security cameras everywhere. Emily had seen places like this in movies, but the reality was worse. The thought of her mother spending 16 years here made her physically ill. I should go in alone, she said as they parked. Like hell, James replied. We do this together or not at all. She looked at him, bruised, battered, but determinedly by her side. Okay, together. The reception area was sterile white, smelling of disinfectant and despair. A bored-looking woman sat behind bulletproof glass. Visiting hours are... Dr. Ames, Emily interrupted, sliding a manila envelope through the slot. He's expecting us. The woman opened the envelope, her eyes widening at the cash inside. $10,000 just to get them through the door. She made a phone call, whispered urgently, then buzzed them through. Dr. Ames was exactly what Emily had expected. Soft, greedy, willing to sell his soul for the right price. He met them in a consultation room, wringing his hands. Ms. Harrison, I must warn you. Your mother's condition. Save it. Emily cut him off. I know she's not sick. I know what my father paid you to do. The only question is whether you want to cooperate now or deal with the authorities later. I don't know what you mean. James stood, looming over the doctor despite his injuries. We can do this the easy way or the hard way, Doc. Easy way. You take us to her now, start weaning her off whatever drugs you've been pumping into her, and prepare her release papers. Hard way. The FBI gets copies of every fraudulent diagnosis, every bribe, every crime you've committed in this place. Ames went pale. You can't prove... Emily pulled out her phone, showed him a recording app. Blackwood recorded everything. Every conversation with my father, with you, with the other doctors. He was building insurance in case my father turned on him. Now I have it all. If I help you, I'll lose my license. If you don't help, you'll lose your freedom, Emily countered. Choose. Ames stood shakily. Follow me. But I warn you, 16 years of antipsychotics, sedatives, mood stabilizers. Even if she wasn't sick before, the drugs have taken their toll. They walked through endless corridors, each locked door requiring Ames's keycard. The deeper they went, the worse it got. Screams echoing from rooms, patients shuffling past in medicated dazes, the smell of hopelessness permeating everything. Finally, they stopped at a door marked C-47. She's likely sedated, Ames said. We keep her on a heavy regimen. Your father's orders were explicit. She was never to be lucid enough to cause trouble. Open it, Emily commanded, her voice barely above a whisper. The room was small, white, windowless. A single bed, a chair, a small bathroom visible through an open door. And on the bed, a woman Emily recognized despite 16 years of aging, despite the gray in her hair and the thinness of her frame. Mom, the word came out broken, a child's cry. Catherine Harrison's eyes opened slowly, fighting through pharmaceutical fog. She looked at Emily without recognition, then past her to James, then back to Emily. Something flickered in those green eyes, the same eyes Emily saw in the mirror every morning. Emily? Her voice was hoarse, uncertain. But you're just 6. You just lost a tooth. I was going to. The tooth fairy. It's been 16 years, Mom, Emily said, moving to the bed, taking her mother's thin hand. I'm 22 now. 16. Catherine's face crumbled. No. Robert said you were coming to visit next week. He always says next week. He lied, Mom. About everything. But I'm here now. I found you. Catherine looked at her daughter's face, seemed to really see her for the first time. Her free hand came up, trembling, to touch Emily's cheek. You look like me, she whispered. But you have his strength. I can see it. We're getting you out, Emily said. Today, right now. I can't leave. Robert said if I try to leave, they'll hurt you. They'll take you away where I'll never find you. Robert's dead, Mom. 3 years ago. He can't hurt either of us anymore. Catherine processed this slowly. Years of drugs making thought difficult. Dead? Heart attack. He died at his desk, alone. Something shifted in Catherine's face. Not joy exactly, but a loosening, like chains falling away. Who's this? She asked, looking at James. This is James, Emily said. He's the one who helped me find you. Catherine studied James with eyes that seemed suddenly clearer. You love him. It wasn't a question, but Emily answered anyway. Yes. Good, Catherine said. Love is the only thing that matters. I forgot that for a while. The drugs make you forget everything that matters. We're going to get you clean, Emily promised. The best doctors, the best care, real care, not this prison. I don't even know who I am anymore, Catherine admitted. 16 years of being told you're crazy, maybe you become crazy. You're my mother, Emily said firmly. You're the woman who sang Fleetwood Mac while making pancakes. You're the woman who taught me that diamonds were just rocks, but books were treasures. You're Catherine Harrison and you're free. Catherine started crying then. 16 years of tears breaking through chemical dams. Emily held her, this stranger who was her mother, while James stood guard at the door. We need to move, he said softly. The longer we stay, the more chance someone realizes what's happening. Emily looked at Ames. The release papers. Now. It's not that simple. There are procedures. How much? Emily asked flatly. What? How much to make it that simple? 50,000. 100. This is my career. 500,000. Cash. Today. But she walks out of here now. Ames's greed won over fear. I'll need an hour to prepare the paperwork. Make it look legitimate. 30 minutes, James said. Or we walk out anyway and you explain the kidnapping to the police. As Ames scurried away, Emily helped her mother stand. Catherine was unsteady, muscles weakened by years of forced inactivity. My things, Catherine said vaguely. I had things. We'll get you new things, Emily promised. No, my journal, under the mattress. They never found it. James lifted the mattress, pulled out a worn notebook. Catherine clutched it to her chest like a lifeline. 16 years of letters to you, she told Emily. Every day, even when the drugs made it hard to write. So I wouldn't forget you. So you'd know I never stopped loving you. Emily's composure finally cracked completely. She sobbed. 16 years of mourning a mother who'd been alive all along. 16 years of believing she'd been abandoned when really her mother had been stolen. "We need to go," James said gently. "Emily, we need to move." They half-carried Catherine through the corridors, her legs barely functional. Other patients watched with vacant eyes. Some reached out, whether in solidarity or desperation. Emily couldn't tell. Ames met them at reception with a folder of papers. "Sign these. They state she's being released into your care, that the hospital bears no responsibility." "I'll sign whatever you want," Emily said. "Just understand, if you ever speak about this, if you ever come near my family again, I will end you." "Your father said the same thing when he brought her in," Ames said quietly. "Like father, like daughter." Emily grabbed him by the throat, surprising everyone, including herself. "I am nothing like him. He imprisoned an innocent woman. I'm freeing her. He ruled through fear. I protect through strength. Never compare us again." She released him, signed the papers, and they left. The October air hit Catherine like a revelation. She stood in the parking lot, face turned to the sky, breathing freedom for the first time in 16 years. "Is this real?" she asked. "Sometimes I dream I'm free, then I wake up back in that room." "It's real, Mom," Emily assured her. "You're never going back." They drove to the airport in silence, Catherine in the back seat staring out the window like a child seeing the world for the first time. At one point, she reached forward and touched James's shoulder. "Thank you," she said simply, "for protecting her when I couldn't." "She protected herself," James replied. "She's the strongest person I've ever met." "She had to be," Catherine said sadly. "My weakness and Robert's cruelty. She had to be strong to survive us both." "You're not weak," Emily said. "You survived 16 years of hell. That's not weakness." The plane was waiting, engines already warming. As they boarded, Emily's phone rang. "Sarah." "Emily, where are you?" "The board is in chaos. The Japanese deal is falling apart." "Handle it," Emily said. "Whatever it takes, handle it. I'm bringing my mother home." "Your mother? But she's alive. Long story. I'll explain when I get back. For now, just keep everything running." "Emily, there's something else. Detective Morrison has been calling. He says James Mitchell violated his parole by leaving the state. There's a warrant." "There's no parole," Emily said. "James was never convicted of anything. According to Morrison, he was convicted of assault 6 months ago. Bar fight, apparently. 30 days jail, 6 months parole." Emily looked at James, who was helping Catherine into a seat. A bar fight. Someone had goaded him into a fight to create a criminal record, to have leverage. "Sarah, I need you to find out everything about that conviction. Who was involved, who the judge was, who paid for what. Everything. On it. Emily, be careful. This feels like a setup. Everything about our lives has been a setup," Emily said. "Time to tear it all down." She hung up and sat beside her mother. Catherine was thumbing through her journal, pages and pages of cramped handwriting. "Would you like me to read one?" Catherine asked. "The first one I wrote?" Emily nodded, unable to speak. Catherine's voice was shaky but determined. "Dear Emily, today they told me you think I'm dead. I screamed until they sedated me, but I want you to know, I'm not dead. I'm here. I'm alive and I love you. Daddy is sick, baby, not me. Daddy is the one who needs help, but I'm going to get better, get out, and find you. We'll make pancakes and sing songs and I'll teach you piano again. Wait for me, baby. Mommy's coming home." By the time she finished, all three of them were crying. The plane lifted off, carrying them toward Seattle, toward a future none of them could predict. "I have something to tell you," James said suddenly, "about the fight, the conviction Sarah mentioned." "Morrison set you up," Emily said. "I figured." "Not just Morrison. Emily, your father had a will. A real one, not the one you saw. Blackwood showed it to me at the warehouse before you arrived." "What?" "If you weren't married by 25, everything would go to charity. The empire, the money, everything. But there was a clause. If you married someone with a criminal record, it would automatically trigger an investigation into your fitness to run the company. So they gave you a record," Emily said, understanding. "Either I lose everything in 3 years, or I can't be with you without losing everything immediately." "Your father really thought of everything," Catherine said bitterly. "He always did like his contingency plans." Emily pulled out her phone, called Sarah again. "I need you to set up a meeting. Every member of the board, tomorrow morning." "Emily, you just said—" "I know what I said. Set it up. 8 a.m. sharp." She hung up and looked at James. "I know what you're thinking. You're going to say you should leave, that you won't cost me my empire. So let me be very clear. If you run, I will hunt you down. I will use every resource, every connection, every dollar I have to find you. Emily. No, my father doesn't get to win. Not from beyond the grave, not through his proxies, not ever. I'll find a way around this, I always do. What if you can't? Emily smiled, and it was genuine for the first time in 8 years. Then I'll burn it all down and build something new. With you. The Seattle skyline appeared through the clouds, the Space Needle pointing toward heaven like an arrow. Catherine pressed her face to the window. It's so different, she said. 16 years and the whole world changed. We'll help you adjust, Emily promised. We'll take it slow. I don't even have clothes, Catherine laughed, but it was edged with hysteria. I don't have anything. You have us, James said simply. Catherine looked at him, then at Emily. He's a keeper, this one. I know, Emily said, taking James's hand. They landed as the sun was setting, painting the bay in shades of gold and red. 3 black SUVs waited on the tarmac. Emily's security team. Paul, she greeted her security chief. This is my mother, Catherine. She's to be protected at all costs. Paul, professional that he was, didn't even blink at the supposedly dead woman. Of course, Ms. Harrison. We've prepared the penthouse suite at the Fairmont. Medical team on standby, as requested. And the other matter? Detective Morrison has been making noise. He's got reporters asking questions about Mr. Mitchell's whereabouts. Let him, Emily said. Tomorrow everything changes. They drove through the city in convoy, Catherine marveling at everything. The buildings, the cars, the people walking with devices she didn't recognize. Smartphones, Emily explained. Everyone has them now, like computers in your pocket. I missed everything, Catherine said. Your teenage years, graduation, your first date, teaching you to drive. You didn't miss it, Emily said firmly. It was stolen from you. There's a difference. The Fairmont penthouse was 30 floors up, with views of the entire city. Emily had bought it as an investment but never lived there, preferring her smaller apartment closer to work. Now it would be her mother's recovery space. A medical team was waiting. Real doctors, not prison guards with medical degrees. They examined Catherine gently, professionally, discussing treatment plans for withdrawal from 16 years of unnecessary medication. It'll be rough, the lead doctor warned. Withdrawal from antipsychotics can cause severe symptoms. She'll need round-the-clock care for at least a week. Whatever she needs, Emily said. As they settled Catherine into bed, she grabbed Emily's hand. Don't leave, please. I know you're grown, you have a life, but please don't leave. I'm not going anywhere, Emily promised, sitting on the bed beside her mother. James and I will be right here. James, Catherine said, already getting drowsy from the legitimate sedative the doctors had given her. Emily, he has something. A mark, a scar maybe, on his back. I saw it when he helped me at the hospital. Ask him about it. Emily looked at James, who had gone very still. What mark? Emily asked. James turned away, but Emily stood, walked to him. James, what is she talking about? Slowly, reluctantly, James pulled off his jacket and lifted his shirt. On his lower back, partially hidden by scar tissue from what looked like a burn, was a small tattoo. Emily's name, in her own teenage handwriting. When? She breathed. The night before everything went wrong, he said. You wrote your name on my back with a Sharpie at the beach, joking about marking your territory. I went and had it made permanent the next morning. Even when I tried to forget you, tried to move on, I couldn't. You were literally part of me. You never forgot, Emily said, tracing the letters with trembling fingers. Never. Not for a single day. Even when I thought you'd hate me for abandoning you. Even when your father's people told me you'd moved on. Married some tech billionaire. What, I never married anyone. I know that now. But for a year I believed it. They even showed me pictures, photoshopped probably. It nearly killed me. Emily pulled him close, buried her face in his chest. We've lost so much time. No, James said, holding her tight. We've survived, both of us. Your mother too, we survived and now we get to live. A knock at the door interrupted them. Paul entered, his expression grim. Ms. Harrison, we have a problem. Morrison is downstairs with a warrant. He's demanding Mr. Mitchell be turned over immediately. On what grounds? Emily demanded. Parole violation and now suspected kidnapping. He's claiming Mr. Mitchell took you against your will. That's insane. He has a judge's signature. We can't stop him from entering. Emily pulled out her phone, called Sarah. I need an emergency injunction now. Emily, it's 8 p.m. I don't care if it's midnight. Find a judge, offer whatever it takes. I'll try, but the door burst open. Morrison strutted in with 4 uniformed officers. James Mitchell, you're under arrest for parole violation, kidnapping, and suspected murder. Murder? Emily stepped between Morrison and James. What are you talking about? Richard Blackwood was found dead an hour ago, Morrison said with a satisfied smile. Shot 3 times. And we have witnesses who saw Mitchell threatening him at the warehouse. That's impossible. James was with me all day. Were you with him every second? Can you account for his whereabouts between 4 and 5 p.m.? Emily's mind raced. 4 to 5. They'd been on the plane dealing with Catherine's medical exam. James had stepped out for 20 minutes to, he said, get coffee. James, she said quietly, tell me you didn't. I didn't kill anyone, James said firmly. I went to the hospital cafeteria, got coffee, came back. Check the cameras. We will, Morrison said. From your jail cell. Turn around. No, Emily said. You're not taking him. Ma'am, interfering with an arrest is exactly what I'm doing, Emily said. James, don't move. Morrison, get out of my property before I have you arrested for trespassing. I have a warrant that I'm challenging. Sarah's voice came from the door. She walked in with another man in a suit. Judge Thompson has agreed to an emergency hearing. Mr. Mitchell is to remain free until then. Morrison's face turned purple. You can't. I just did, Judge Thompson said. Ms. Chen presented compelling evidence of harassment and false arrest. Mr. Mitchell remains free on Ms. Harrison's recognizance until tomorrow's hearing. This is obstruction. This is justice, Emily said. Something you wouldn't recognize. Get out. Morrison left, but not before leaning close to Emily. Your father knew what he was doing, keeping you 2 apart. You're going to destroy everything he built. Good, Emily said simply. After they left, Emily turned to James. Did you do it? Tell me the truth. No, James said. I wanted to. God, I wanted to kill him for what he did to your mother. But I didn't. I wouldn't do that to you. Then who did? Someone who wanted him silenced, Sarah suggested. He knew too much about too many people. Emily's phone rang. Unknown number. Hello, Emily. The voice was electronically distorted. I hear you found your mother. How wonderful. Who is this? Someone who knew your father well. Someone who knows where all the bodies are buried, literally and figuratively. Blackwood was going to talk. He had to be handled. You killed him. I cleaned up a mess. Just like I've been cleaning up your father's messes for 20 years. But now you're making messes, Emily. That stops now. Are you threatening me? I'm offering you a deal. Walk away, take your mother, take your boy toy, take your money and disappear. Leave the company to the board, leave Seattle, leave it all behind. Or I'll destroy all 3 of you. You're the one who should be scared, Emily said coldly. I'm coming for you. Whoever you are, wherever you're hiding, I'm going to find you. Your father said the same thing once. He learned to cooperate. So will you. The line went dead. Emily looked at James, at Sarah, at her mother sleeping peacefully for the first time in 16 years. Tomorrow's board meeting, she said. It's not just about saving the company. Someone on that board is behind this. Someone killed Blackwood. Someone's been protecting my father's secrets. Tomorrow we find out who. Emily, James said, maybe you should consider their offer. Take the money and run. We could go anywhere, start over. No, Emily said firmly. I'm done running, done hiding, done letting my father's ghost control my life. Tomorrow, we end this. She walked to the window looking out at the city lights. 22 years old with the weight of an empire on her shoulders, the responsibility of her mother's recovery, and the challenge of keeping James free. But for the first time in 8 years, she felt truly alive. Whatever happens tomorrow, she said, we face it together. James stood beside her, their reflections merging in the window glass. Together, he agreed. Behind them, Catherine stirred in her sleep, mumbling something that sounded like my brave girl. And in that moment, Emily realized she wasn't her father's daughter anymore. She was her mother's daughter, a survivor, a fighter, and finally free to love without fear. Tomorrow would bring war. But tonight, for the first time in 16 years, the Harrison women were together and safe. It was enough. It was everything. 2. This is it. The moment everything changes. If you've made it this far, please hit that like button and tell us in the comments what you think will happen next. The boardroom at Harrison Industries had never felt more like a battlefield. Emily stood at the head of the mahogany table, studying the 12 faces before her, men and women who'd helped build her empire, who she'd trusted with her future. One of them was a traitor. "Thank you all for coming on such short notice," she began, her voice steady despite the storm inside. James stood by the door, technically her bodyguard for the morning. Her mother was safe at the penthouse with Paul's team. Everything hinged on the next hour. "Emily, this is highly irregular," said Marcus, her CFO. "The Japanese deal can wait." She placed a folder on the table. "We have more pressing matters. Someone in this room has been working against me, against this company." The tension sharpened. Board members exchanged glances, some confused, others carefully neutral. "That's a serious accusation," said Victoria Pemberton, the longest-serving member. She'd been her father's ally once. "What proof do you have?" "Richard Blackwood is dead," Emily announced. Several gasps echoed through the room. "Murdered yesterday shortly after attempting to blackmail me with information about my father's crimes." "Crimes?" Marcus leaned forward. "Emily, what are you talking about?" "My father imprisoned my mother in a psychiatric facility for 16 years, telling everyone she was dead. Blackwood knew. Someone in this room knew too, and that someone had Blackwood killed to keep him quiet." "This is insane," said Harold Winters, head of legal. "Your mother died when you were 6. We all attended the funeral." "You attended an empty casket ceremony," Emily corrected. "My mother is alive. She's recovering from 16 years of forced medication, and I have proof." She opened the folder, spreading documents across the table. Medical records, payment receipts, photographs. The board members leaned in, their faces showing various degrees of shock and disbelief. "My God," Victoria whispered. "Robert, what did you do?" "He did what he always did," Emily said. "Whatever it took to maintain control. But he didn't do it alone. He had help. Someone who's still helping him from beyond the grave." Her phone buzzed. A text from Sarah. "Security footage from hospital cafeteria confirms James's alibi. But there's something else. Check your email now." Emily pulled up her email on the conference room screen. The message was from an unknown sender, subject line, "The truth about October 15th. "What is the?" Marcus asked. "Let's find out together," Emily said, opening the email. A video file. Security footage from 8 years ago. Time-stamped October 15th, 11:47 p.m. Emily's blood ran cold as she recognized the location. Her father's study. The video showed Robert Harrison at his desk on the phone. The audio was clear. "The girl tried to kill herself tonight." "Yes, my daughter. That Mitchell boy found her. No, we can't have that. He knows too much now. I don't care what it takes. Frame him, arrest him, I want him gone." "What do you mean he saw Catherine?" "Then we have no choice. Make it look like assault." The girl's too traumatized to argue. "Yes, I'll handle Emily, you handle the boy." The camera angle shifted slightly, revealing who Robert was talking to. Emily's heart stopped. Marcus, her trusted CFO, the man who'd helped her build everything, was on the other side of the desk, nodding along to her father's plan. "Marcus," Emily breathed, turning to face him. Marcus had gone pale but remained seated, his composure cracking. "Emily, I can explain. You were there. You helped frame James. You knew about my mother. I was protecting you." Marcus stood suddenly. "You were 14, suicidal, in love with an older boy from the wrong side of town. Your father was trying to save you. He was trying to control me. He was trying to protect the empire he built. Everything you have now exists because your father made hard choices." "Hard choices?" Emily's voice rose. "Imprisoning an innocent woman? Framing an innocent boy? Driving me to attempt suicide?" "You were weak," Marcus said coldly, his mask finally dropping completely. "Just like your mother. Robert knew the only way to make you strong was to break you first, and it worked, didn't it? Look at you now. Powerful, ruthless, everything he wanted you to become. I became this despite him, not because of him. You became this because we guided you," Marcus corrected. "Every obstacle you faced, every challenge you overcame, we orchestrated it all, building you into the perfect heir." "We?" Emily looked around the room. "Who else?" Victoria stood slowly. "Emily, dear, you have to understand. Your father's vision was bigger than just one company. It was about legacy, about power that would last generations." "You too?" Emily felt the betrayal like a physical blow. "Victoria, you were like a mother to me after we told you your real mother was dead?" "Yes. I played that role well, didn't I?" Victoria's grandmotherly facade vanished. "Someone had to make sure you didn't go looking for her." "Who else?" Emily demanded, looking at each board member. Who else knew? Harold, the legal counsel, raised his hand slightly. The legal framework required to maintain the deception was extensive. 3 of them. 3 of her most trusted advisors had been her father's accomplices. And Blackwood? James spoke for the first time. Which one of you killed him? That wasn't us, Marcus said. We would never. The conference room door burst open. Detective Morrison walked in, but something was different. He wasn't strutting anymore. He looked terrified. Nobody move, he said, but his gun was shaking. Morrison? Emily said, what are you doing? What I have to do, Morrison replied. They have my daughter. Said if I don't finish this, she dies. Who has your daughter? James stepped forward carefully. I don't know. They grabbed her this morning. Said I had to kill Emily and make it look like James did it or they'd... His voice broke. She's only 12, please. Emily's mind raced. Someone was cleaning house, eliminating everyone who knew the truth. But who? Her phone rang. The unknown number again. Put it on speaker, the distorted voice commanded when she answered. Who are you? Emily demanded. The one who's been protecting you all these years. Your father understood that sometimes love means making impossible choices. You're insane. Am I? Look at what you've become. Strong, powerful, a warrior. That wouldn't have happened if you'd run away with your teenage love. You'd be living in some trailer park with 3 kids and broken dreams. That wasn't your choice to make. It was my responsibility. Just as it's my responsibility now to clean up this mess. Morrison, you know what to do. Morrison raised his gun toward Emily, tears streaming down his face. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. James moved faster than anyone expected, tackling Morrison before he could shoot. The gun went off, the bullet shattering the conference room window. They struggled, but James's military training won. He pinned Morrison, who sobbed brokenly. My daughter, they'll kill her. We'll find her, Emily promised. But you have to tell us everything. Who contacted you? How? I don't know, Morrison wailed. It's always calls, always that voice. They've been controlling me for years since your father was alive. Emily looked at the phone still on speaker. You're not my protector, you're my prison warden. Just another version of my father's control. Your father was a great man with a great vision. You were meant to inherit an empire, not throw it away for love. Then you don't know me at all, Emily said. She looked at the board members, at the people who'd shaped her life through lies and manipulation. I'm dissolving the board, effective immediately. You can't do that, Marcus protested. The bylaws give me absolute authority in cases of criminal conduct by board members, Emily countered. Conspiracy, fraud, false imprisonment, murder. I think that qualifies. You'll destroy everything, Victoria warned. The company will collapse. Then I'll build something better from the ruins. The voice on the phone laughed, bitter and cold. You think you've won? You haven't even figured out who I am yet. Emily closed her eyes, pieces falling into place. The voice modulator couldn't hide certain speech patterns. The way they knew every detail of her life, the access to her father's networks. There was only one person it could be. Dr. Ames, she said quietly. Silence on the line. You weren't just my mother's doctor. You were my father's personal physician. You were there for everything. Every meeting, every secret, every crime. Clever girl. Dr. Ames's real voice came through now. Too clever for your own good. You killed Blackwood. He was going to expose everything. The medical fraud alone would have destroyed dozens of careers. Your mother wasn't our only patient who didn't belong there. How many? Emily's voice shook with rage. How many innocent people did you imprison? 43 over the years. Wives who wanted divorces. Business partners who knew too much. Anyone who threatened the empire. The conference room erupted in chaos. Board members who weren't involved recoiled in horror. Marcus tried to leave, but James blocked the door. Where's Morrison's daughter? Emily demanded. Safe, for now. But if you don't walk away, if you don't leave Seattle tonight, she dies. They all die. I still have 38 patients at Riverview who don't belong there. One phone call and they all get lethal injections. Tragic mass suicide, the headlines will say. Emily felt the weight of those lives on her shoulders. 38 innocent people. You're a monster, she whispered. I'm a survivor. Just like you. Your father taught me that power is everything. Without it, we're all victims. My father was wrong, and so are you. Emily made a decision that would change everything. Sarah, are you recording this? Sarah's voice came from Emily's phone. Every word. Already sent to FBI, state police, and the media. You stupid girl, Ames screamed. You've killed them all. No, Emily said firmly. James, the warehouse where they held you. That's where Morrison's daughter is. Go, Paul's team is already en route. James ran from the room. Emily faced the phone again. FBI and SWAT are heading to Riverview now, she announced. Your hostages will be safe. You're finished, Ames. You've destroyed your father's legacy. I freed myself from it. There's a difference. The line went dead. Around her, the boardroom was in chaos. Marcus, Victoria, and Harold were being arrested by FBI agents who'd been waiting outside. Other board members were either in shock or making frantic phone calls. Emily walked to the shattered window, looking out at Seattle spread below. Her empire was crumbling. By tomorrow, the scandal would be worldwide news. Harrison Industries would likely not survive. She felt free. Her phone rang. James. We found her. Morrison's daughter is safe. Scared but unharmed. Thank God. And Riverview? FBI just called. They secured the facility. Found Ames trying to flee. He's in custody. They're identifying the falsely imprisoned patients now. Emily sagged with relief. It's over. Yeah, Emily. You know what this means for your company. I know. And I don't care. Some things matter more than money. Your father would be spinning in his grave. Good. Let him spin. I'm done living by his rules. She paused. James, that tattoo. You really kept my name on your skin all these years? Some marks are worth keeping, even the painful ones. They remind us who we really are. Who are you, James Mitchell? The man who loves you. Always have. Always will. Then come back here. We have a future to figure out. 20 minutes later, the boardroom was empty except for Emily and James. Federal agents had taken everyone who needed taking. The media was gathering outside like vultures. We could run, James suggested. Disappear. Start fresh somewhere else. No more running, Emily said. I want to face this. All of it. A knock at the door. Catherine entered, supported by a nurse but walking on her own. I saw the news. My brave girl taking down kingdoms. Mom, you should be resting. I've rested for 16 years. I'm done missing your life. Catherine looked around the boardroom. This was his throne room, wasn't it? Where Robert ruled his empire. Not anymore, Emily said. Catherine walked to the broken window, wind whipping her gray-streaked hair. Good. Let it all blow away. Money built on suffering is cursed anyway. We'll lose everything, Emily warned. The lawsuits alone will bankrupt us. We'll have each other, Catherine said simply. That's more than I've had in 16 years. Emily's phone buzzed. Sarah calling. Emily, you need to see this. Check the news. Emily turned on the conference room screen. Every channel was covering the story. Billionaire CEO exposes father's criminal empire. 43 innocent people freed from psychiatric prison. A Harrison Industries scandal rocks Wall Street. But one headline made her stop breathing. Anonymous benefactor establishes $500 million fund for victims of Harrison crimes. Sarah, what is this? Check your father's real will. The one Blackwood mentioned. I found it. Sarah sent the document. Emily read it, her hands shaking. In the event that my crimes are exposed, all my personal assets, and separate from Harrison Industries, are to be liquidated and given to my victims. This is my confession, and my only attempt at redemption. I was a monster. I destroyed lives for power. My daughter Emily was my greatest victim and my greatest achievement. If she's reading this, it means she was strong enough to break free. The money is blood money. Let it heal what I broke. Robert Harrison. He knew, Emily whispered. He knew someday it would all come out. There's more, Sarah said. The personal assets are worth $2 billion. Separate from the company. Hidden accounts, properties, investments. It's all going to the victims and their families. You could challenge it, claim it as his heir. No, Emily said firmly. Let it go where it should. It was never really ours anyway. She hung up and looked at James and her mother. We're going to be okay. Somehow we're going to be okay. The sun was setting over Seattle, painting the sky in shades of redemption. Emily Harrison had lost an empire but found something worth more. Truth, freedom, and the people she loved. So what now? James asked, taking her hand. Now we live, Emily said. Really live. No lies, no manipulation, no control. Just us. I need to tell you something, Catherine said suddenly. About your father's death. Emily turned to her mother. What about it? It wasn't a heart attack. He was poisoned. I know because I did it. The confession hung in the air like a bomb. Mom, one of the nurses at Riverview, she had a conscience. She'd been smuggling out letters trying to get help. 3 years ago, she managed to get me a phone. I called Robert, told him I'd found a way to expose everything unless he freed me. He laughed, said no one would believe a crazy woman. So I told him about the poison I'd had the nurse put in his coffee that morning. Slow-acting, undetectable, would look like a heart attack. But you were locked up. How? The nurse's son worked at Robert's favorite coffee shop. It was easy. Robert didn't believe me until he started feeling the symptoms. By then it was too late. He died knowing I'd won. Emily stared at her mother. This woman she barely knew who'd found a way to destroy her tormentor from a locked room 1,000 miles away. The police can't prove anything. The nurse died of cancer last year. Her son never knew what he was putting in the coffee. There's no evidence, just the truth between us. You killed him. I freed us, Catherine corrected. Just like you freed us today. We're Harrison women. We survive. We protect each other. And we don't let anyone cage us again. Emily felt the last piece of her father's puzzle click into place. He'd died as he'd lived, outsmarted by a woman he'd underestimated. No more secrets, she said, from any of us. We tell each other everything from now on. Agreed, Catherine said. Everything, James added. They stood together in the ruined boardroom, 3 survivors of Robert Harrison's war on love, finally free to write their own story. Outside, reporters shouted questions. Lawyers prepared briefs. The empire crumbled. Inside, Emily Harrison smiled, really smiled, for the first time in years. She'd lost billions but gained everything that mattered. Her mother, alive and getting stronger every day. James, faithful and loving despite 8 years of hell. And herself, finally free from the ghost of her father's ambition. I know a great diner, James said. Cheap coffee, good pie. Want to celebrate our newfound poverty? Mel's? Emily laughed. We never did make our noon meeting, so we'll make it a dinner date instead. 8 years late, but who's counting? As they left the boardroom together, Emily looked back one last time at the kingdom she was abandoning. Her father had built it all on lies and cruelty, thinking that was strength, but real strength she'd learned was choosing love over fear, truth over power, freedom over control. You know, Catherine said as they entered the elevator, we could always start over. Build something new, something honest. Maybe, Emily said. But first, we heal. All of us. The elevator doors closed on the Harrison Industries empire. When they opened again in the lobby, Emily walked out not as a billionaire CEO but as herself, daughter, lover, survivor. The cameras flashed. The questions flew. But Emily only had eyes for the 2 people beside her, the family she'd thought she'd lost forever. Ready? James asked, squeezing her hand. For anything, Emily replied, and meant it. They walked into the Seattle night together, leaving the wreckage behind. Tomorrow would bring challenges, legal battles, financial ruin, public scandal. But tonight, they were free. And freedom, Emily had learned, was worth any price. As they drove away in James's old Honda Civic, he'd kept it all these years, Emily's phone buzzed one last time, a message from an unknown number. But this time she recognized the area code. Switzerland. I'm proud of you, sweetheart. Your real mother would be too. She loved you more than life itself. When you're ready, there's something else you need to know about her family, about who you really are. But for now, just be happy. You've earned it. Aunt Catherine. Emily stared at the message. Her mother had a sister. There was more family out there. What is it? James asked. Another secret, Emily said, then deleted the message. But one that can wait. Tonight, we're just us. They drove through the city toward Mel's diner, 3 broken people finally whole, leaving the past behind and driving toward a future they'd write themselves. The end, or perhaps the beginning.